gonna run from a 48-year-old man? He ain't running from me, he's coming to fight.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and welcome back to another edition of Box Talk. Ad is away on holiday in America, so I'm going to give you another solo edition of This Week in Boxing. Been a quiet week on boxing, not many fights to talk about. There's only one or two international fights, so I'm going to skip those and go straight to the news. Let's start with the big news, and let's go with Floyd Mayweather officially announcing that he's fighting Andre Berto on September the 12th, and it is not on CBS, it is on pay-per-view. When this fight was first announced, or was first rumoured for Andre Berto, and it's going to be on domestic TV in America, I thought it was not a bad idea. Considering Berto is no longer a high-profile opponent, considering he's coming off losses, I thought, well, if you're going to give a free fight to the fans as a farewell fight, and you know, when you look at the history of boxing, most world-class fighters have a going-away fight, which is no longer the marquee fight. I thought it was, you know, a fair enough shake. Now the fight's been announced, it is on pay-per-view. I'm disappointed. Everyone seems to be disappointed. I haven't found one person on social media that actually is excited about this fight right now. Everyone seems to be pretty peeved off. And the reason why people are peeved off with this fight, it's not that when you're Floyd Mayweather and you're pound for pound #1 in the world, when you just come off the performance against Pacquiao, when you still have, you're at the top of your game, you're not really, as you've got older, yes, you've slipped a little bit, but you've not slipped enough where you are in a threat for anyone. There were other options. Fighting someone like Andre Berto doesn't give you much credit or give you much. It doesn't give you much as anything. It gives you a blowout fight. Now, you always hear pre-fights about the beef and the arguments, and it's going to be this fight, it's going to be that fight. Let's be honest. This is Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. Andre Berto was getting beat up by Josito Lopez until Berto caught him. I think it was round 5th or 6th. Andre Berto got knocked out by Soto Carras. Andre Berto got beat up by Victor Ortiz. These 3 fights I'm mentioning are not like, oh, these fights happened years ago. These fights are mostly in his last 5 or 6 fights. He's got 3 losses. That doesn't give me any confidence to say there's anything in this fight that's worthy of Floyd Mayweather having this fight. If it was a free fight where you give away to the fans for a, you know, you have a decent undercard and you're giving a free fight for domestic TV to, you know, showcase your brand, that's fair enough. For a pay-per-view, the fight's rubbish. The fight is worthless. And Canelo and Pacquiao were pay-per-view monsters in terms of selling. But the other fights around that, the fights with Guerrero, the fights with Madonna, they wasn't huge on pay-per-view. This fight, I'm expecting low numbers. And low numbers for Floyd may not be low compared to everyone else, but in terms of the number Floyd's expect and what Showtime expect, I don't think you're going to get it. On the undercard of that, it's been announced now for sure that George Groves is going to fight Badou Jack in that fight. Good fight, very good fight. It'll be interesting to see what version of Jack comes out and what version of George Groves comes out, but it looks like it's going to be pretty entertaining undercard. Moving on, I'm going to start with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder this week has really got under my skin a lot, and a lot of guys have mentioned it, emailed us and tweeted us and sent messages saying we need to put him in the basement. Deontay Wilder's going in the basement for sure, but that's another video we're going to film most probably end of this week or the week after for the new entrances to the boxing basement. Rumours are that he's considering to fight Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury is a talented prospect. Keyword prospect. He's not hit European level yet. He's not hit world class level yet. In terms of potential, he's got it all. He's young, he's youthful, he's got skills, he's got a good trainer, he's got Tyson Fury as his cousin, so he's got the right team around him. Deontay Wilder, who is the WBC champion, undefeated, offering the fact to Hughie Fury notice, unreported 4/5 weeks notice, is ridiculous. Deontay Wilder is throwing his career down the drain. There's nothing more you can say about it. And then I saw an interview on Fire Hype, which was also sent to me by a few people on Twitter, and they said that Deontay Wilder said, someone asked him, why don't you fight guys like Amir Mansour? Which again is a very good fighter. I like him. Maybe a little long in the tooth at 42, but yeah, he's maybe a top 15 guy in the world. And Deontay Wilder's wording was, when he gets his ranking up. He's in it for the money. This is prize fighting. I think you're supposed to be in it for the money. When you get your ranking up, you can't say when you get your ranking up when you're trying to fight Huey Fury. You can't say try to get your ranking up when you're trying to when you fought Molina in your last fight. He also said in that interview, someone mentioned about Shannon Briggs, and he said, "Oh, if I fight Shannon Briggs, I'll retire him." I'd rather you fight Shannon Briggs than fight Huey Fury. I'd rather you fight Shannon Briggs than fight Molina. I mean, when the name Pavenka was mentioned, there was a stumble. He didn't seem that. He said the fight's gonna happen down the line, maybe next year, maybe end of next year. There's definitely a delay in where Deontay Wilder's going. If Deontay Wilder can't make a decision on what he's going to do with his career, if he can't choose these fights, if he can't fight ranked contenders, he needs to relinquish the belt, and that's all it comes down to. Like, I'm not going to go into it too much because I'm planning to really tear into him when we do the boxing basement video. But if you don't want to fight ranked contenders, yeah, give up the belt. That's all it comes down to, because you're wasting time and you're hurting boxing, and that's what this is about. It's not about yourself, it's not about world titles, it's about boxing. And for me as a boxing fan, I don't want to see Deontay Wilder fight any of these type of fights. Fight someone ranked. Midweek, it was announced that Lee Selby has signed a advisory agreement with Al Heyman. That one came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that at all. Lee Selby's a quiet guy, seems humble, seems nice, and I thought the deal he had, especially when he was world title, seemed to be kind of solid, concrete. Obviously now Al Heyman's coming to it. This is just like with James DeGale. They're matchroom fighters with matchroom promotional contract, but now they've got Al Heyman as an advisor for the direction their career goes. Does that mean Lee Selby's going to be fighting on PBC cards? I don't know. Does it mean there's going to be a conflict between who he gets to fight to defend his title against? Because most PBC guys fight other PBC guys within that Al Heyman entity. I don't know. What I find interesting is that since that announcement, again, just like with the James DeGale announcement, that Matchroom has made no statement, which means to me that tells me that I just think maybe they're not too happy with that announcement. Normally, when there's a promotional change or a promotional different, there's press releases, there's information, there's talks, there's all sorts of things that kind of clarifies what happens. There's no clarification on this one, so I wonder where that leaves Lee Selby and Matchroom. Yes, they're working together. Yes, there's a contract apparently. Yes, things are in a good situation, but are they in the best situation? I don't really know. Sticking with PBC for just a brief second, Fox Sport 1 has now announced they've got a long-term deal with PBC to show those fights. PBC and the Al Heyman brand now has literally taken over all US TV. And as we know, I've mentioned previously with Lee Selby and James DeGale, they are now cutting into the UK market, and with Carframpton. PBC has to be a success. It has to be a success for all these entities, all these TV companies, all these fighters that are signing with Al Heyman. As much as yes, there's criticism about some of the cards and some of the opponents and some of the fights, we as boxing fans, we want this to work. We do not want to have all these fighters, all these TV contracts, everything fail on boxing. That's a bad look for boxing and a bad image to promote for boxing. If boxing wants to be the marquee sport and be where it is with comparatively with other sports, it needs this consistency. It needs to have this coverage. It needs to have this hype surrounding it, and that's what we really need. I reckon that there are faults with PBC, but as I said in previous videos, I think you need to give it a chance to grow. The PBC brand has only been around since March. It is now August, which is basically what, 5-6 months. You need to give it a little chance to say, let it grow, let it catch its wings and make a decision to see where direction it goes in. If it feels it's bad for boxing, I'll be the first to say it's bad for boxing. They need to split it up. But as it stands right now, we need to give it a chance and hopefully that it grows into something much bigger, something much better. Keith Thurman done a bunch of interviews this week regarding his stats of his career, who he wants to fight, where he wants to fight, type of opponents out there. He mentioned a few fighters that I thought were quite interesting for him. He mentioned Kell Brook and he mentioned Amir Khan. But what I want to talk about was that when he mentioned Errol Spence. Obviously, Keith Thurman was in the mix, or wanted to be in the mix to fight Floyd Mayweather. That fight has now gone to Andre Berto. Keith Thurman feels that Mayweather's chosen Errol Spence as a pawn to use him to take shine away from Keith Thurman. He's saying that You wanted me to fight on your undercard against your prospect. Why should I do that for? Errol Spence is where I was 3 years ago, a guy coming up trying to make his brand. I'm here as a world champion. I'm here as a guy who's one of your peers. I want to fight the top guys in the division. I want to fight all the guys out there that I mentioned. Why would I fight a guy backwards instead of going forwards? I clearly understand Thurman's point. Spence is a tremendous talent. Spence, could mostly beat most people in the division given the opportunity. But it's something called development and timing and marketing. Why would Floyd Mayweather push for Thurman to fight Spence on his undercard? Is that a way to try to build up Spence or build up his undercard? I don't know. Obviously the fight is not happening, but Thurman saying that he's using it as a pawn, I kind of believe him. And when I say I believe him, it's not that what people say are facts, but when you're pushing something so hard, pushing, there must be a reason why you're pushing. I don't know where it's coming from, but either way, I think that Keith Thurman has more potential to fight other guys that are his ranked peers than Errol Spence. Thurman has asked for Amir Khan as well in these interviews, and he said that he's free, he has no opponent set as of yet, nor has Amir Khan. Rumours that Amir Khan spoke to Eddie Hearn about Matchroom Sports about fighting Kell Brook. That's being talked about, but that's not planned for next year. I would love to see Keith Thurman and Amir Khan go at it before the end of the year. Last week we talked about Joseph Parker, the New Zealand kid, heavyweight. He knocked out Bowie Tapui in the first round. This week he's going to announce that he's going to fight Cali Meehan. Cali Meehan is an old former title challenger back from the mid-2000s. One, I thought it was good for Joseph Parker to get a quick turnaround, i.e. he won on Saturday, and by Tuesday I think they already had a release and then had a press conference and a face-to-face on the Wednesday. I thought it's a really good turnaround. It's the guys that it's good for young prospects to be active and keep busy. But again, as we talked about, Joseph Parker seems to be on this projectile, similar to Anthony Joshua. Not in the same style, because Joshua's a much bigger prospect, a much bigger name, but young, exciting heavyweights that are moving forward. Cali Meehan is a guy that was a good fighter 10 years ago, but is no longer at the top of the food chain, not even close to the top of the food chain. Cali Meehan must be hitting 45 plus. Even though he looked in decent shape in the picture, this is a much older guy. I would like to see Joseph Parker move forward and fight these type of guys that are more capable than Cali Meehan. Cali Meehan had who did he push? I remember Hazzy Rattling beat him in 5. I remember Danny Williams knocked him out in 1. But I think he fought, was it Lehman Brewster he fought? Was it Lehman Brewster? Who was the champion at the time? Was it Lehman Brewster or was it John Ruiz? But he pushed one of those guys to like the 12th round, and it was a good fight, it was an entertaining fight, and he kind of made his name off that. But this is a time whereas boxing has changed. You've got these young guys, these young kids that are, especially like I said, this new generation, they're 6'4", 6'5", heavy-handed, aggressive. It's not good for Cali Meehan to be in this situation. Expect another first round knockout for Joseph Parker. Okay, Zab Judah has re-signed to a promotional contract and is now back fighting at 140. Zab is in his late 30s now. He's going for another title run. With the current division at 140, I see some good matches available for him. Crawford, I'll stay away from Terence Crawford for sure, but I think Zab's an interesting name to add to the mix. Zab is one of the best 5-round fighters you see. I mean, when he comes out for those first 4 or 5 rounds, he's a handful to deal with. But if he be dragged to the later rounds, we'll see how it goes. With his name and with his marketability and star power, expect him to get a title shot really, really soon. And if I was interested as a boxing fan, I want to see a fight, I want to see Zab versus Lucas Matisse. That would be a really entertaining fight, really good fight. Let's see what Zab does and see can he bring anything back to the division. The rumour mill kicked in again this week with rumours of Kell Brook fighting Diego Chaves. Diego Chaves in a fight for Kell Brook's IBF title. A lot of people on social media are quite upset with this fight as well, saying why is he fighting this guy? And before people criticise this fight, and regardless of what you think of the actual fight, I will say this: if it's okay for Timothy Bradley to fight Diego Chaves and got a controversial draw, but we all thought Bradley won, then I think it's okay for Kell Brook. Kell Brook does want a more marketable name. Yes, he does. He needs to build his profile in terms of what Amir Khan says, and I understand the point when you've got such a deep division. But I do believe that when Kell Brook got the shot, there was some sort of agreement or some sort of plan with Top Rank, because the rumor had it previously that it was going to be Brandon Rios, and that was supposed to be a mandatory. Now I don't know how Brandon Rios has been pulled away from that mandatory, and now Shaves has got him. There was also a release from the IBF. They were going to announce a eliminator between Shaves and their number 2 contender. Well, I can't remember his name right now, and that's kind of changed momentum of where. That kind of changed the momentum of if it was a mandatory fight or if it's going to be a voluntary. So I'm not sure how it's happened. I will say this though, is that Kell Brook needs to stay active. He's had 2 fights this year already. If he gets this fight, it'll be 3 fights this year. That is good. If he could turn it around quick, get this fight, get an impressive stoppage, it will only help him. Considering that Bradley went to points with this guy, Kell Brook gets a stoppage, proves a point. So yes, you're not going to be happy with the fight. You might say it's an easier fight for Kell Brook. You want to see the likes of Porter or Thurman or Khan. If Timothy Bradley can have it, so could Kell Brook. Let's see can Kell Brook do a better performance than Timothy Bradley. I can't remember if it was announced this week or was it last week, but ring light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson's going to defend his title against Thomas Kompasi. This week they announced the undercard, and on the undercard they've got Donovan Razor Ruddock. Now there was a rumour about 3-4 months ago that he was coming back into boxing. He's in the best shape he's been in his life. He is 210 pounds. He's now a vegetarian, and he's leaving. His whole body's changed. He's a different person. Donovan Razor Ruddock must be in his 50 years old. For guys who don't remember Donovan Razor Ruddock, Donovan Razor Ruddock fought Mike Tyson back in '91. Donovan Razor Ruddock fought and got stopped by Lennox Lewis in 2 rounds back in '92, '93. The point I'm making is, this guy was in his prime 20 plus years ago, 22 years ago. For the critics of Al Heyman, why would you put Donovan Razor Ruddock on the card? I don't know if it's going to be the chief support or if it's going to be just down the line a fight on the card, but I find it very poor that they're going to put someone like Donovan Razor Ruddock on the undercard. I mean, let's be fair, boxing is a dangerous sport, especially at heavyweights. Yes, if he wants to fight, let him fight, but don't give him marquee TV exposure so he could get hurt. I mean, who are they going to put him in against with? I mean, it's a 54-year-old man. This is not a Bernard Hopkins who's been in the game for consistent. This guy's retired again, maybe 15 years ago. I think the commission should be looking into this and find out exactly, is this guy capable of fighting and defending himself? Yeah. Shane Mosley making a lot of noise recently. Shane Mosley has a fight on his own pay-per-view on the 29th of August against Ricardo Mayorga. For the past 3-4 weeks, Shane Mosley has been everywhere making statements, doing interviews, telling stories, all about his career, his promotional company, and how much this is going to be a better fight than the same night they've got the Abner Mares versus Santa Cruz fight. But this week I saw a story that was interesting. Shane Mosley is now re-suing his wife, his ex-wife, Jim Mosley, claiming bigamy. So she was actually married at the time he was married to her. So she was married up until possibly 2000, was it 2005 possibly? As we had a laugh on last week's show, we said before that Jim Mosley, when they got married, that Jim Mosley took his belts. She apparently took 2 houses, took vehicles, cars, furniture, and left Mosley with basically nothing. The running joke was that Mosley was living in the basement. True or false, she did take a huge statement, and Mosley is now suffering. I feel it's really unfair when you got an athlete, especially when you play in a sport like boxing, where it's a solo sport, whereas you put your hard earnings in and you lose so much, and the person that's took that money is not someone that's taking the shots in the ring, not someone that's helping you training. There's someone that was your wife and was your business manager, so yes, she's entitled to helping you complete your career, but she shouldn't have more than you have. So Shane is now fighting because of these type of issues. He reckons he has proof that she did commit bigamy and that obviously she was married previously, so I'll be keeping an eye on that case. Because when you got someone like Shane Mosley, a Hall of Famer, who has made millions in the ring, and to lose all of it through divorce and you have to come back to fight, it's not a good thing, it's not a funny thing. I mean, it's tough. Let's hope this story gives some clarity to actually what's happened between Shane and Jin, and maybe Shane could get some of that money back and and stay retired. Okay, the European boxing unions have ordered Derek Chisora versus Erkan Tempa, the guy who knocked out David Price in a couple of rounds a few weeks ago. That is a really good fight to set. Chisora made his comeback a few weeks ago, looked in good shape, got a quick first round knockout. If this fight could be negotiated, it would be a great way for Chisora to get right back in the mix to win the European title. To get that European title always gives you a high ranking, And Chisora is a name, he has talent, he has ability, but we don't know what he really got left because we didn't get to see much in that fight which he had a few weeks ago. And his last fight was a touch and fury fight, which was a very bad fight for him, where he took quite a beating and got stopped. I feel the Temper fight, yes, Erkan Temper made a name by knocking out David Price, but the Erkan Temper, from what I've seen of him, it's still raw. It's still raw, and I'm not confident in how good he really is. So I think it's a good fight, a crossroads fight for both of them to see exactly where they stand, who will go forward and who will go backwards. If Temper was to win, he makes a great name for himself, taking out David Price and Chisora. If Chisora wins, he proves that he can actually hang with that European level again and see can he get another shot or another run with the top 10. The top 10 in heavyweights right now is really funny. There's a few guys out there, the likes of Chris Arreola, who is a name, but he's clearly on the slip. And if someone catches him quick, i.e. Derek Chisora, you can make a lot of money and get yourself in a very, very good position. But he needs to get these fights in, and that Eric Temper fight, if that fight comes along, would be a great fight for him. Jay McDonald's rematch with Tomki Kameda is now set for early September. That was a great fight and a great comeback from behind victory for Jay McDonald, who dropped early in the fight and then came back and dominated the second half of the fight. Really interesting watching this rematch here. Jay McDonald proved a lot of doubters wrong and won a tremendous performance. Can he do it twice? It's gonna be a hard call. Kameda's a really good fighter, but I tell you this, though, I'm not counting Jay McDonald out. Again, he has to travel away for this fight, I'm sure, but I'm predicting another close contested battle with Jamie pulling it off once again with his cleaner, better boxing. But it's a really good fight, so guys, keep out for that one. Well, that's it from me for this week in boxing. Ade will be back on Wednesday, so we'll be filming end of next week, and we'll have a whole bunch of new videos for you guys by then. Guys, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting. Don't forget to tweet, subscribe, share on Instagram, and check out Boxtalk clothing on eBay. Guys, have a good week.